welcome councillors and members of the public. John, nice to see you. Members of the press, Chris, and staff, good to have you all here. Councillor Kingi, would I be able to ask you to give us a blessing for the afternoon? Thanks very much. Thank you very much, Councillor Kingi. And welcome to those interested parties out there on live stream. I think we're all going, are we, Lisa? Just remind councillors to make sure the red button's on and talk as loud as you can. It'll be truly appreciated for those external audiences. So item number 1 is apologies. On the agenda here I have from Councillor Rankin, Deputy Mayor, and also Councillor Truman. Otherwise a full house. Could I have a move for those to be accepted, please? Thank you, Councillor Westerman, seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against. Carried. Item 2, any conflicts of interest pertaining to any of the items on the agenda today?
Your Worship, just a declaration on item 4.4.
Councillor Kingi on 4.4. Thank you very much, which is the establishment of the co-governance, or the governance committee of Taupo. Thank you very much, Councillor Kingi, for pointing that out now. Okay, no other conflicts of interest. We'll go to item number 3, which is a confirmation of minutes of the ordinary council meeting that was held on the 26th of May this year. Do I have any points of clarification or any questions on those minutes? If not, a mover when you're ready, please. All happy? That's moved by Councillor Westman. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Body. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Item 4.1 was the receipt of the Lake Taupo Protection Project Joint Committee meeting. That was held on the 24th of April this year as well. Any points of clarification, Councillor Leonard, or are you happy to move the minutes?
Just pointing out that the Taupo District Council and the Waikato Regional Council will have different remits going out to the annual plans. Aside from that, I'm happy to move.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Leonard. Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. As against, carried. 4.2, consideration of the Mangakino Pauakani representative group minutes, and a recommendation there that there's a slight change to the Mangakino Takarawa weekly public service. Any questions on that or any points of clarification? Councillor Park.
Yes, Your Worship, I think it's a very valuable service, but I was just curious that the bus service is being reduced, yet we're including money for it. Was it not included previously?
Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Green.
So through the Chair, I guess that's the whole issue here, is that the cost has gone up regardless. So even with the reduced service, the cost of the service has gone up from Waikato Regional Council. So to retain the current levels of service would have been an increased cost on this again. I think, top of my head, it was about 40,000 thereabouts. So this was a way of keeping a service but at a slightly increased cost.
Very good. Okay, so can I have a mover, please, that recommendation be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Westman, seconded by Councillor Taylor. Those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. 4.3, consideration of the Taupo Airport Authority, the recommendation that sits there, and the amendment to the terms of reference. We have Mr. John Ridd. John.
So the TAA discussed this at the last meeting, and following a bit of a change in the structure of how we want to approach safety. Originally, if you recall, there was an airport safety representative and a user group. So following a bit of a change in our approach to the particular safety management system process in place now, the recommendation is to remove that safety committee representative, but to have a user group and a business rep, because the safety side will be dealt with outside the TA.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions of Mr. Ridd? No? Okay, so if I could have a mover for those. Thank you. Councillor Guy, seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. 4.4, the establishment of the Governance Committee with Tū Wharetoa and the Māori Trust Board, or Tū Wharetoa Māori Trust Board, and the JMA with Tū Wharetoa. We have Sue.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, councillors.
Good afternoon, Sue. And alongside you, we have Heather.
I've got a bit of a team.
Yes, and Cornelia Dempsey. Nice to see you, ladies. Right, floor is yours.
You'll be aware that we already have JMAs with Te Arawa River Iwi Trust and with Rokawa Settlement Trust under the Waikato River Act for the restoration and protection of the health and well-being of the Waikato River. And you'll be aware that we're required to do that under the legislation. We're also required under that same legislation to have a JMA with the Tū Wharetoa Māori Trust Board for the same purposes, to work together in carrying out our functions under the RMA to restore and protect the health and well-being of the Waikato River for present and future generations. Council staff have been working with the Trust Board staff since about September last year. And then in February this year, we got formal notice from the Trust Board that they wanted to enter into a joint management agreement as required under that legislation. So we've been working together for some time on that. Once the notice was received in February, the Act requires the Council to form a joint committee to oversee the development of that JMA. So this paper is about convening that committee. We need to appoint 3 councillors on that committee, and we need to approve the draft terms of reference, which are in my paper. The other part of that is that the legislation enables the inclusion in the JMA of matters for the waterways within Taupo waters. And you remember from our workshop last week that we showed you the plan to show where Taupo waters was. And essentially it's Lake Taupo and all of the tributaries that go into the lake. Essentially the working group have been working together to look at these matters, because this is a discretionary inclusion in the JMA, and it's only if both parties agree. We're not at the stage where we've fully explored those matters and what they might mean, especially in terms with overlap with things like Te Kopua Kanapa. So at this stage, the recommendation is to improve, in principle, the inclusion of Taupo waters in the scope of the negotiation of the JMA.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, appreciate there, and we've all had the draft agreement obviously circulated. We had the workshop last week. Any questions, please, councillors of the people? Yep, Councillor Body.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just in regards to the point 2, the inclusion of Taupo waters, the disadvantages is cost. Is there any Crown assistance available for this particular issue?
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
Thank you. Any other questions of the team? Okay, now, so it's this, I've had, I think we had some names circulated. Councillor Leonard has offered her support to this, the representative on it, and Councillor Williamson, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and also Councillor Truman,
That's
the
the Truman.
person was
Okay.
discussed prior to the meeting.
All right. So 3 is correct? Yep, sure. Those names could be inserted in if you don't mind, please, Shani. So the Councillor Leonard, Truman and Williamson. Very good. Thank you very much, team, this afternoon. It looks good. And obviously, you know, the river going forward is the most important thing, and to include the Taupo waters in there just makes sense. So I truly appreciate it, and I hope everyone sort of agrees with us on that, so that's cool. No more commentary? Councillor Body? You moved? Certainly. Seconded by Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. Right, 4.5 new public names, Whariwaka East Subdivision. Louise, we have Mrs. Louise Wood. Nice to see you, Louise.
Nice to see you too.
Okay.
I've been here a few times with road names out here, so excuse me, I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
They're proposing 3 new road names within stages 6, 9, 10 and 11 of the Whariwaka East subdivision. And they've gone through the relevant consultation that they had to with the emergency services and Te Whaitoa Māori Trust Board. And the 3 names before you are Porapora Way, Pātete Place and Kopakopa Crescent. And there's a map on the back that shows you where those roads are. Basically, support was received for those road names, and it continues the theme of resources, natural resources and medicinal plants. Yeah, that's over to you.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds pretty straightforward. Moved by... I'm just thinking of Mr. Parks. Yeah, okay. Moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Guy. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, Louise. Thank you very much. All right, 4.6, notified decision on plan change 1 to the Waikato regional plan. Tanya.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, and good afternoon, councillors. So this agenda item is seeking a direction on whether we should appeal the plan change 1 to the Waikato regional plan, also known as Healthy Rivers.
Very good. Okay, we've obviously workshopped this as well. So we've got the recommendation up there. Is any commentary or any questions of Tanya regarding this?
I think just for clarity, just to highlight that this is regarding Taupo District Council in regards to this, not talking about the region at large.
Yep. Cool. Okay. No other questions for Tanya? All pretty straightforward. So we're appealing it. I'm just trying to understand the 14-day scenario. Can you just delve into that a bit more, please, Tanya?
So we have to, if we're going to lodge an appeal, we have to lodge it by the 7th of July. And then after that, we, as a territorial authority, we also have the ability to join or piggyback an appeal, so which is called acting as a 274 party. Yep. And we have 14 working days after the 7th of July deadline to make a decision on whether we should join an appeal as a section 274 party. So we'll wait and see what comes in on the 7th of July, and then we will make some calls around whether we should 274.
Okay, so will you make those calls as elected officers, or will you come back to the...
Because of the tight time frame, I'm seeking in the recommendation that you delegate that decision to the Chief Executive, but certainly if you were to accept that recommendation, we would certainly keep you in the loop around what we...
Number 2 there.
Yes.
Yep, sure. Okay, thank you. Pretty straightforward. Mover, please.
Very quickly, right at the back we've got recommended areas for joint appeals. Is that the only areas that are going to be covered? Because that's what the recommendation from the individual independent comment.
So that is in the report from the consultant.
Yeah. It's right at the end. It says, I recommend that you lodge on the basis of recommended areas for appeal. That's recommendation given to us. So do they include, that's only those ones there? There's no other, there's about 10 or so of them.
So I've stipulated in the recommendation, yes, what I believe we should appeal and potentially section 274.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Other questions? Okay, the recommendation up there, 1 and 2. Can I have a mover, please? Oh, Councillor Williamson, thank you. And the seconder? Councillor Park, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Tanya, you're still up, 4.7, which is adoption of the annual plan.
Yes, so
And
yes,
Neil, good afternoon, Neil.
Afternoon, Your Worship.
yes, so seeking the adoption of the annual plan, which is always a milestone when we get to this deadline, but I think it'd be worthy to say that this annual plan, the deadline is even more significant considering the upheaval that COVID-19 has had. So, yeah, just want to recognise that milestone. Is there anything you'd like to add, Neil?
No, absolutely. It's pretty good to me. Any commentary? I've got a few things to, just a few people and a few things to acknowledge here, but Councillor, got any commentary before I start off? I'll kick it off and just say, you know, I believe that, if you can just bear with me for a minute, it's been an amazing effort, you know, by the whole team over a very, very short time. You know, obviously we had a draft annual plan prior to this, almost complete, and was in accordance with the LTP. Then of course COVID hit, which has been incredible. You know, truly proud. One of the first councils to announce that we were going to aim for a 0% rate increase and signal financial relief for our communities. So we've been able to achieve that. Thank you to the management and councillors who have been very, very hard working to achieve this through some very, very, you know, creative and hard decisions that we've had to make. Had to write it basically in 6 weeks, which would take a year. We had to compensate, of course, for about $2 million potential loss of income, and to make additional savings to do away with what was prior to that a 4% rate increase. So we've done that, and we are thinking. I'm not too sure about this. We're the only council in the country to have arrived at a negative rate increase. Now that's pretty landmark. That's a pioneering thing. With certainly the only district council that I know of. I don't know about the regional councils. So there you go. It's quite neat to be involved with that. So, and of course a lot of our fellow councils, one neighbouring council remain nameless, but just up the road has actually borrowed $4.5 million for after $1 million to cover their operational shortfalls. So incredible impacts on people, of course, and we've heard them all this week. You know, the fitness suite, swim squads, DGLT, you know, some council operations as well. So there are fallouts. Which unfortunately the levels of service may not necessarily be the same. The grass might be a little bit longer here and there because the boys, you know, can't get to it or whatever. But you know, we've just got to accept that this is the unprecedented times we're in. But we've got there, and through more spending on capital projects more than ever, which keeps our locals employed where we can, and keep that activity in the business sector, which is most important. The central government have been directing us in that way, which is great. But you know, it does come with a warning. It's not sustainable. It's going forward. This is a one-off annual plan, and we'll have to revisit all these things in the next annual plan, and indeed going into the LTP. But it's a COVID response plan. Which I would suggest. So thank you very much to everyone that's been involved in this process. Who would have been thought we've been talking like this when we're having our Christmas breaks, you know, and that sort of thing. So the CEO and senior management and councillors, thank you so much for being at all those workshops, going through the line by line, making those hard decisions. We've come up with a, what is it, minus 0 point something? Yeah. So there we go. So thank you very much. My two cents worth. But councillors want to add anything?
Yeah,
Sure, Miss Councillor Williamson.
No, you've missed anything? No, certainly not. I'll just also commend the staff, but also not forgetting we're going to be confronted with some challenging financial and economic times going forward, but to retain the Standard & Poor's AA credit rating as well is absolutely outstanding. Acknowledgement of the work that our
True.
guys and girls do in the department, the finance department, or all departments for that matter. Thank you.
Exactly. Councillor Park?
Yes, through the chair, I just want to acknowledge all the staff as well. When I first became a councillor, it was post GFC, and my induction to the long-term plan, annual plan process was one of austerity. And over the last couple, we've been extremely lucky, over the LTPs that has been extremely lucky in the regeneration of the district and been able to start moving things forward. This annual plan is something I haven't seen in my near 10 years as a councillor, and it's obviously, like the Mayor said, a reset and a one-off, because it is not sustainable or good business practice at all. But I think we have to be commended for the sacrifices that are being made to not add any additional financial pressure to our ratepayers.
Thank you very much. All right. So, yes, Councillor Buddy?
I wish to acknowledge all your comments, and I'm fully supportive of those comments that have been made. I think the staff have done an excellent job, and I think you've pointed out fairly that we're probably the only council in New Zealand that's going to have a nil rate increase. But I'm also going to be the nigger in the woodpile, the elephant in the room, because I stood on a platform 6 years ago in regards of debt reduction in this council, and I've got some correspondence here going back to the 2012-22 long-term plan. There's also a report that you made back in 14-15 about the need to reduce debt, and I am really concerned that we're looking at a debt at the end of this coming financial year of 173 million. And I know, Your Worship, when you were challenged by, I think it was the taxpayers...
Councillor Buddy, I've just been reflecting on what you, the opening comments, if you don't mind. Could I just have you withdraw those comments, please? If that's
Sorry?
opening...
I apologise.
No.
Apologise.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was a slip of the tongue, and I apologise.
Okay, well, I'll give you the lens of carrying on, but...
No,
that's
I've had my say,
Yeah.
and I'll abstain from the vote. Fully supportive of that annual plan, but not the debt that we're looking at.
Yeah, I will be on behalf of council, apologise to anyone listening out there or listening in the public gallery as well as staff, because those comments in this chamber are not, I'll accept that it was a slip of the tongue, but they're not accepted. All right, 4.7, any other comments at all? Councillor Guy.
Thank you. Through the chair, again, I just endorse everybody's comments with regards to the work that's been undertaken, but I think we also need to note that not only were they undertaking the annual plan, but also the proposals or the project work done for the central government infrastructure projects. So to pull everything together in such a short post-COVID time has just been phenomenal. So, you know, on behalf of council, I think that not only do we acknowledge the annual plan, but also the other work that has gone on. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Might as well join the throng. I'm also conscious of the work that Gareth's team have done in including us as elected representatives, which I understand is not the norm. So this is for those of us who are new to the table, first time we've done this, and I'm not sure we're going to get used to that going forward, but thank you for the level of detail that your team have shared with us, which you did not need to do, but have done so and included us in this process. So it is a full team effort, so that is appreciated.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. All right, okay, thank you, Tanya. Neil, too sure if you've got anything to add, but you know, thank you to your team, finance team that have been putting all this together too. So there's a resolution up there, a recommendation up there that we adopt this annual plan. Could I have a move, please? Moved by Councillor Leonard, second by Councillor Mack, and all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. It's against. Carried. All right. 4.8, the rates resolution. We have Tony Wilkinson. Nice to see you, rates
Afternoon.
manager. Thank you very much.
Hi.
Come in.
So this documents the rates resolution. You've already just set the funding impact statement with the resolution you just made, which is basically a replica of this, but this resolution includes the due dates and the penalty dates, etc., and it makes the rates so that I can set them in the system.
And just
Right.
through the
Councillor Park.
just through the chair, Mr. Green, probably in regards to penalties, if people are struggling, they can on a case by case basis get in touch with the council, can't they?
Absolutely, that's always our position, and I know Tony and the team have been taking calls on that, and we'll always have those conversations to try and ease the pain.
Thank you very much, Councillor Park. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just reflecting on conversation we've had around how much people read and how much notice people take of what information is put right in front of them, I think it's worth noting that although we have a 0.43 negative rates increase, not everybody in the district is going to be paying the same rates going forward. And I think some people are going to be very pleased and others are going to be not so pleased. And the fact that it's a zero rates increase does not mean that everybody's rates is going to be zero. And I just think we need to make that point so that when we say it's zero and everyone goes, well, that didn't happen to me, they need to read the small print. I think we just need to amplify that.
You're absolutely right, Councillor, and that's obviously the press. For the press, that's the effective revaluations which creates that. So you're right. It depends on the value of your property versus the average, essentially. On the flip side, of course, some of our more productive sectors, so rural and commercial, potentially will be going down quite significantly as well.
Cool. Councillor Leonard.
Just supplementary to that, I'd like it noted that Gareth actually sought advice to see whether we could delay those valuations in regards to our rates, and we were actually advised that legally we had to take those valuations as we're set. We weren't able to put that off.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Councillor Body.
Even could I ask whether the differentials have to be shown in the rates resolution? In the past, the differentials have been there. It's not
They're in the funding impact statement.
in the funding impact statement. Thank you.
They have to show in that one.
All right. Thank you very much, Tony. No other final comments? That's all good. Hang fire. We've got to move it yet. Okay, a suggested recommendation up there, which confirms all the work we've been doing. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Williamson, seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. 4.9, Health and Safety Report. Have Michelle McGill. Nice to see you, Michelle.
Yes, good afternoon everyone, councillors. So a different start for 2020 as none of us expected, and certainly reflected in the health and safety as well for this year. So as you can see, we did quite a bit in the COVID-19 space as it transitioned from level 4 back through to level 1. So that has sort of preoccupied a lot of BAU for me, but we still did have work happening in our work fronts, with contractors and internal work. Still good incident reporting for the limited amount of operational work that was actually happening through council. So has anyone got any questions or anything that they'd like to query on this report?
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions of Michelle? No? Very comprehensive report. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure you've covered everything there, so if there's no questions, I have a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Guy, seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thanks, Michelle. 4.10, Council's May Performance Report. Mr. CEO, Gareth.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to dwell on the opening statements because they're all basically around the annual plan, which you've just adopted and said it all. So we'll pretty much go straight into
Financial.
the texts.
Cool. Thank you very much, Alan. Mr. Alan Menhannon.
Thank you, through the Chair. When you look at these financials, they're as at the end of May. I just want to reiterate that for the first half of May, we were still on level 3. We didn't actually go to level 2 till the 9th of June. So what we're seeing here is the impact of still being DC or during COVID. As a result of that, the level of activity in the areas of capital works, etc., are quite evident. And I think one of the underlying aspects of it is that our net borrowings at the end of May was 8.6 million. So you hear about the gross debt, 146 million, and the potential growth there, but because of the level of activity that was occurring, and that's not just CapEx, it's general maintenance and operations, we ended up with a $8.6 million net borrowing. I think it's about the lowest that I can remember. Apart from that, the actual business has probably done better than we thought it would. We're favourable as far as the year-to-date budget's concerned. We're still forecasting to be in line with the full-year budget as far as our forecast is concerned. You'll see some unders and overs. If we look, for example, at the personnel costs, we're well over on personnel costs, but we know that most of that is a factor of not being able to capitalise staff time against projects because they weren't happening. And secondly, nobody was taking any annual leave. So we end up with quite a large liability. Fortunately, staff are looking at the month of July starting tomorrow with favourable eyes as far as getting a bit of a breather. But apart from that, we've seen on the investment scene some fluctuations, as you all appreciate, as far as the share market is concerned, but we've recovered significantly in that regards. We now have a positive total return position on the TL fund. We have a cash returns on that of 4.17%, so in today's market that's good. And in general, we know we're facing a challenging year, but we're in a reasonable position and these numbers support it. So any questions, only too happy to answer.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you very much. Any questions of Alan? No? Pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Kevin's not here as far as the infrastructure
right.
stuff is concerned, but if there's any questions, we're happy to try and answer them on his behalf.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Alan. All right, we'll go to democracy and planning.
So there's not much change, Your Worship, from last month. There's no significant variances, and little in terms of updates for the projects in terms of their status.
Thank you. Tina, any questions of Tina? All right, community services, Brian.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things from me. You've heard obviously the Standard & Poor's rating and the good news on that. Another report I've received recently is from MPI in our food safety space, and that's an outstanding report as well in terms of performance by our health team. So I'll be getting it obviously circulated and it'll be coming through the Audit and Risk and Assurance Committee going forward. But really, really pleasing result when you look at the work that's gone on in that space, to the extent that other councils are still looking to get assistance from us in terms of that area. Also high demand happening in our building area in terms of inspections. heavily booked out at the moment. So team very, very busy, and we are putting applications out again to external contractors to get us through that area. Civil defence, just talking to Councillor Park before the meeting, it would be good to actually move away from events and get back to just doing some normal exercising. Yeah, it's been a hectic time all around in that space, but I think we've handled it pretty well. We're doing a formal debrief, operational debrief on what's happened recently towards the end of the month in conjunction with our South Waikato partners, and that will also be coming back through the Emergency Management Committee and the Audit and Risk Committee as well. Mr. Connon and I, the Emergency Manager, attended a recent event handled by the police on the Whakaari incident. Quite a sobering police briefing, to be honest. But a couple of lessons for us there was around the police's view that these events are going to be dominated in the future very much around risk and health and safety. And I think one of the findings was that different agencies who are responding have different levels of risk appetite. And so very interesting discussion and, as I say, quite a sobering visual presentation. Dog registrations close off tomorrow, and I think Lisa's team are working pretty hard. Probably Lisa can update that better than me, but yeah, big effort going on there, and probably better than last year for me.
It is indeed, which is pleasing to see. So as of today, we've had just over 4,000 dogs registered, which puts us up around the 60% mark, which is slightly higher than where we were at this time last year. And pleasingly, a lot of those have come in online. So I think that what COVID has actually encouraged people to do is to do their business online, which has been fantastic. So there's just been over 300 dogs, new dogs registered as well. So obviously the population out there is growing.
Very good. Thanks, Lisa. Thank you, Brian. That's it. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, well, probably between Tina and myself we can. So, I mean, it's all pretty much green there. The only yellow is the operating revenue, which is no surprise given the impact of lockdown and the fact that the facilities were closed over that period.
Cool.
Everything else is on track.
Thank you. Have we got a date for the completion of the shared pathway?
We're working on that at the current time.
Yeah.
We're pretty close to finding an exact date.
Okay.
It's likely to be in the back half of July or early August potentially.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much. Water, obviously, Kevin's not here, but Alan's happy to answer any of those questions. Any questions of water, transport? Everything's on track. Transport, wastewater. Nothing to report there.
Again, any questions, we're happy to answer them. Everything's on track though. It's we've reported on these things to you through the time.
Solid waste, stormwater, economic development. John.
So we're really pleased that we're about to put a media release out to say we've made an appointment to for the architect for the airport, who's a local architect. So the media release will go out today or tomorrow on that. So we're pretty excited that we've got a local architect involved in that. And the only other thing is the eyesight. The transfer of the eyesights has commenced to council.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Thank you, John. That's it. Thank you very much, everyone. Recommendation up there. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. 4.11, council engagements, July 2020. Any there?
Got nothing to add to that, Your Worship.
Yep.
And
Okay.
just to note that the RMA making good decisions course that was cancelled previously is now going ahead in August, and Councillor Westerman and Taylor will be attending that.
Good. All right. All good. Thank you very much. All right. Just a recommendation. We received the engagements report moved by Councillor Parks, seconded by Councillor Leonard. 4.12 members report. Obviously, Deputy Mayor's away, but Councillor Caffey, have you got anything on economic and business? Sorry, Caffey, can you put this as speaker? Yeah.
Just that Councillor Rankin and myself met with the chair of EGLT. The majority of focus, of course, has been on the Regenerate Taupo District project. And we had a full meeting yesterday just to go through the Phase 2 report and look at some of the outcomes that can be achieved through that.
Great, thank you. Sport and recreation, Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, apart from some of the angst in the community around the changes signalled in the annual plan, nothing further to report. It's all just ticking along. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Park?
Yes, Your Worship, just now that the annual plan has been adopted, there will be some work done in the youth space, just with some engagement and whatnot, but that is something that I'll fully support with Dylan and his team once we work out the way forward with that, and Lisa, I suppose. So really looking forward to getting engaged with youth on different things that we're looking at. International relations space, obviously not, but am a part of Project Regenerate, which I'm very happy to be a part of. The discussions in the community plan going forward, which will feed into our long-term plan, is there's some good work in there, along with Councillor Mack, who's on that. But can I say we had a Civil Defence and Emergency Management Joint Committee meeting, which I joined via Zoom a couple of weeks ago, and a vote of thanks was recorded unanimously by the committee for every single elected member, staff member, essential worker, volunteer, and those community groups that assisted as well, in thanking them for their time and service during and post the lockdown period, and that they sacrificed their time, their health and safety, and family. Yeah, pleased to pass that on to the community.
Very good. Older person, Councillor Body, thanks, Councillor Park. Okay, arts and culture, Yvonne, Councillor Yvonne. Meeting tomorrow, museum meeting, I believe. Yep, cool. Environment, Councillor John and John.
So nothing to report on the environment one, apart from COVID's obviously been good for the environment.
Yeah,
and obviously around the world it seems to have been a plus for us, but
yeah.
No, nothing official.
Good one, thank you. Mangoes, yeah. Community safety,
thank you, Your Worship.
Tom or Kevin? Oh, sorry,
yeah.
Councillor Williamson.
The other half of the environmental portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few meetings, attended a few meetings, the Botanical Society Board of Management meeting on the 4th of June, and the Lakes and Waterway Action Group meeting on the 18th, where Natalie Haynes gave a bit of a talk about the lake and lake levels, etc. It was very, very interesting. The Lake Taupo Protection Project, where Councillor Kylie Lander was elected as chair, did a really, really good job negotiating our way through that meeting, going forward with the consultation process going forward with the long-term plan. So that was excellent job, Kylie. And the wastewater treatment plant, we've had Turingi wastewater treatment plant, another meeting with Simon Bendall and Kevin Strongman and Dylan and Kevin Sears and then the two wharetāua, Turingi Tukua. Going forward, looking at further advancing that with the hapu, as to the mitigating the discharge and potential relocation of the plant, and also Tarot, the co-governance with Tarot with Kylie and Kathy, absolutely an outstanding feeling on that about that committee going forward with the relationship. So looking forward to that, and I think also with John, Councillor Mack, we're looking forward. Looks like we're looking at a climate change discussion going forward. I think John Brid gave us a heads up in the next week or two. Thank you, Your Worship.
Good one. Thank you very much, Councillor Williamson. Community safety. Tong or Kevin?
Thanks, Your Worship. Not much to report because we haven't actually had our Safe Taupo District meeting as yet. But that said, just want to flag to Council that we're coming up with some fairly innovative projects at the southern end of the lake around some sort of initiatives and projects with police. So I'll update Council once we've had a chance to flesh those out a bit more. But they'll be a little bit different to the norm. But anyway, just a bit of a response to that. Yep.
Thanks, Tom. Kevin, nothing there? All right, thank you very much, councillors. As suggested, we received the report. Thank you, Councillor Guy, seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. It's the public part of the meeting closed, and could I have a mover that we move in to confidence and just for the confirmation of those minutes. That's all. Moved, yep. Cool. Moved, seconded by Councillor Westman. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, John.